6.8, consideration of presentation of crop report plus economic contributions of Lake County agriculture. Catherine Vanderwall, you will have the floor. And we have our packets.
Oh, you got the presentation. Great. All right. Good morning, Chair Crandall and board members. Catherine Vanderwall, Agricultural Commissioner, Sealer of Weights and Measures. Today, I'm here to introduce you to Dr. Jeff Langholz. He is with the Agricultural Impact Associates, who put this report together, and will be presenting to you the newest edition of the economic contributions of Lake County agriculture. As your board may be aware, this study was last completed in 2019, utilizing our 2017 crop report data. In past conversations with your board, there has been inquiries made about having an update to this report, which is what we'll be presenting today. So this report goes beyond traditional crop and livestock, beyond the traditional crop and livestock report that we publish each year that is mandated by California Food and Ag Code Section 2279 for all agricultural commissioners throughout the state. This report extends beyond crop production values and acreage and expands to the total economic contributions of agriculture in the county. As with the crop and livestock report, this report is another tool that can be used for a variety of purposes, including policy decisions, land use planning, and as a resource for various groups, including industry groups and advisory groups to your board, such as the Lake County Food Policy and the Ag Advisory. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Dr. Jeff Langholz.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Vanderwall, and greetings, Chair Crandall and supervisors. My name is Jeff Langholz. I'll be presenting the kind of a high-level summary of the new economic contributions report. I'll just give a quick caveat to the entire audience. People joke that the field of economics is called the dismal science for good reason. It's called the dismal science because all these facts and figures and formulas in economics can get kind of dreary. But hopefully today it won't be too dismal. This is relevant to anybody who appreciates food, especially food that's healthy, abundant, and affordable. That's why we're here today. With that, let's dive in. Commissioner Vanderwall mentioned some of the reasons why we do this report, and a big one behind the annual crop and livestock report, and this one, is a mandate from the state. Section 2279 of the California Food and Ag Code requires every county to report the value of agriculture. And usually that's just the production value. But now, thanks to modern economic tools, we can go beyond production value. We can get the production value plus locally sourced value-added food processing. We can quantify employment and multiplier effects. And speaking of multiplier effects, I'd just like to clarify what those are. There are two kinds of multiplier effects. These are the ripples that are created in the economy from any kind of economic activity. When it comes to agriculture, we have indirect multiplier effects. Those are that consists of local business-to-business spending by ag companies. For example, the farmers and ranchers buy vehicles and fuel and seeds and insurance and veterinary services, banking, fertilizer, chemicals, contract work, and more than a dozen other things. And when they buy those things from the local economy within Lake County, it creates these ripples, these indirect effects, and we can measure those now. The other type of economic ripple are these induced effects. This is local consumer spending or consumption spending by the people who work in agriculture in Lake County. It's not just the people who work directly for a farm or a ranch or a processor, but also the employees of those who provide the supplies. For example, when they get their paychecks, they go buy groceries and healthcare and housing and utilities and clothing and transportation, education, entertainment. They go get haircuts, they go to movies, and so on. So all this money from agriculture ripples through these employees in the Lake County economy as well, and we can measure that. I'll get to the punchline here. The main findings of the study are that when you add up these things, it's a total of about $300.2 million. That's for the year 2023, which is the most recent year for which we have complete data. And that consists of three things. That's the farm production, $140 million. You'll see that amount in the annual crop and livestock report. And then we add in the local processing of wine grapes and pears and other items, and that adds another $83.9 million to the county economy. And then the multiplier effects, both kinds, indirect and induced, that are these ripples throughout the economy. When we measure those, they total $75.9 million. And that's how we get to that total, 300.2. Now, agricultural work is very seasonal, but if you were to magically spread it out evenly across an entire year, it works out to $822,400 per day that agriculture is contributing to the Lake County economy. The next topic is employment. The agricultural industry supported 2,107 total jobs. Most of those are direct jobs within the agricultural industry, but another 647 are attributable to those ripples, those multiplier effects that I discussed. One last topic, and that is economic diversification. You've all heard the term, don't put all your eggs in one basket, because if the basket falls, then you might lose all of your eggs, as the picture shows here. Economic diversification is like insurance against shocks. And boy, if you're a farmer or a rancher, you've got a long list of things to worry about that could go wrong, that could affect your industry. For example, price drops, disease outbreaks, new regulations, new competitors, price spikes for key inputs such as labor, COVID pandemic, catastrophic wildfires. The list goes on and on. Recently, you can add trade policies such as tariffs. It's a long list. Any one of these can undermine agriculture. So fortunately, there's a formula we can use to measure the level of economic diversification within an industry or even within a county economy. And when we use that formula for Lake County's agricultural industry, we get the score, the index. It's 0.26. That's on a 1-point scale. So you can see it's around the bottom quarter or so. Overall, this is a somewhat low level of economic diversification within agriculture, which provides limited economic resilience within agriculture or to the wider county economy to some of those shocks to the system that were on the previous slide. The level of economic diversification within the county's ag industry is not only low, but it seems to be declining over the years. This slide shows the trend over the 10-year period starting in 2014. You can see it was 0.34 back then, and it's dropped to 0.26 by 2023. There is an upside. The good news is, and this is a quote from the report, the presence of a livestock sector alongside crops gives Lake County shock absorbers when markets or weather swing. California's cattle and specialty crop sectors have low to negative correlations. When crops are down, livestock tends to do okay, and vice versa. And so that provides, the presence of livestock here provides portfolio level risk reduction to the ag industry. I look forward to opening it up to your questions and comments in a moment, but first I'll just mention the key messages. First, ag has a large economic input, over $300 million for 2023. That's more than twice the amount you would see in the crop and livestock report for that year. Second, it's significant employment, over 2,000 jobs, directly and indirectly supported. And third, somewhat limited resilience. Ag has a low economic diversification score. I'll be happy to open it up to your questions and comments, and hopefully that wasn't too dismal for economics. Thank you.
Supervisor Pyska?
Well, thank you, Catherine, for putting this report together. It is something that we've been asking for several years to really understand the overall context. And I just wanted to ask how much this report cost. 'Cause I know it's a lot of extra work.
I know the approximate value, but I want to give you the exact figure.
Okay.
Okay, so the exact figure was $31,840.
Great. Well, I think that's money well spent. Thank you so much.
Supervisor Sabatier?
So I appreciate this report. It's always good to get an update rather than think that we're kind of on a steady increase or flatline. It's good to know where we are. We are an agricultural county. We should be keeping the finger on the pulse to understand what's going on and what's not going on. Some of what was discussed was not dismal, was actually really good news. Seeing how that expanded ripple effect really impacts our community is always good to see. But I do have a concern and a comment, and that is in the decrease in the Shannon-Weaver index that we've been seeing over the last decade. So basically our diversification of agriculture is decreasing slowly. Is that a trend that you are seeing everywhere in the state of California? Is that impacted also outside of the state of California, or are we somewhat unique in what we're experiencing here?
Thank you for the question. It had to do with whether this trend towards declining economic diversification is unique to Lake County. And the answer is we're seeing it across the state of California. More counties are seeing a decline than are not. Increasingly, counties are becoming increasingly dependent on one or two main crops. For example, almonds in the Central Valley or berries along the coast. So it's not unusual to see this long-term trend toward a decline in economic diversification.
Appreciate that. I think this report, Commissioner Vanderwall, this is exactly what I wanted to see for the Food Policy Council. I think this is good grant funding material to share with whatever funding we can find to try and enhance and diversify and continue, because we can look at this pie chart here where fruits and nuts are 96.1% of our agriculture, and the whole concept behind the Food Policy Council is to add outside of that percentage in order to try and see what else agriculture can provide and produce here. So exciting to see. It gives us the reality of where we are, and I really appreciate having this up-to-date report so we can move forward from here. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a great report. I appreciate all the details in here. Will this be available on the website for the public to access?
Yes, I will link it to our department webpage. There are also some copies up front here, so anybody in the room, please help yourself. If anybody else would like an additional bound copy, they will be available at the office.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I had a quick question. It had stated that this year at 300,175,000 has exceeded by far the 140,000 from 2023 value. Can you explain that just real quick?
Sure. The reason why the total contribution is 300 million rather than 140 that you see in the annual crop and livestock report is because we have these modern tools that allow us to measure the value of local food processing and also these economic ripple effects. And when we add those two extra pieces of the puzzle to the first one, all three of them add up to 300 million.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Supervisor Spotted.
Just a random question, and maybe it's outside of your scope, but there's stories coming out of difficult times right now. Sometimes it's the tariffs, sometimes it's insurance, sometimes it's other issues that are just getting more and more expensive. What are you seeing in the direction that ag is going right now, if you can share any kind of professional opinion on that?
Sure. What I'm seeing in other counties across the state, especially data from the most recent census of agriculture. Every 5 years, the U.S. Department does a census of agriculture for every count. We get really good data from every county in the country, and it's a more complete study than what you get from the annual crop and livestock reports that are survey based. According to the census for California county agriculture, when I look at those numbers, it seems that the costs of production are rising much faster than the revenues.
Oh, sorry about that. They gave me some to sign. The questions. All right, I will open it up to the public. If there's any comments, please come on up.
Good morning, Tom Lasik. If I can indulge going back to the comment about the diversification in the livestock, and as someone with a economics degree myself, I am excited to see all sorts of numbers, so it makes me really happy. But you mentioned the livestock being sort of a neutralizer, mediator of the impact of the lack of or the less diversification that we have. Does that also extend to rangeland and pasture land that supports the livestock, or is that considered separate? And again, I want to thank everybody. This is great. This is really a good report. So thanks for all the work you guys did. And I'll leave it at that.
Fantastic. I would say that the shock absorber effect that livestock has is part and parcel with the land that support the livestock, including rangeland and pasture land.
Any other comments from public on Zoom?
Good morning, supervisors. Excuse me, Angela Amaral. Thank you. I wanted to thank Commissioner Vanderwall and staff for the very insightful report. I was just curious if there was one ag commodity that was not included in this report, and that's cannabis. Do you feel that cannabis is having any impact on the diversification rating? As would be my question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Angela. I cannot speak to the diversification rating, but I just can say that we don't have enough information on cannabis, and that it's, for the last several years to even include it in our traditional crop report as far as the value of it.
And I'll just add, for that very reason, we did not include cannabis in the calculations for the diversification index over the last 10 years.
All right, any other comments on Zoom?
I have a quick question.
I'll bring it back and go ahead, Supervisor Owen.
Sorry.
Mhm.
Is it included in the revenues on this? No. Okay, thank you.
All right. With that, it looks like this report is concluding, and I appreciate all the work you put into it. Thank you very much. We'll see you at the next one. And
Great.
if there's anything else you would like to add? Yeah.
I just want to take a minute to thank your board for the continued support of agriculture in Lake County, my department. I'd also like to thank all the producers, farmers and ranchers who contribute their information every year to make the crop report possible. I'd also like to extend a big thanks to Dr. Jeff and his team for putting this together and also in such a wonderful layout, as well as being here to present the information.
Yes, really well done. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. We'll move